YouTube. It's time for another video. Um, Back in my kind of old stomping grounds. I drove through. I have another video from Detroit that I'm gonna upload, but I have to edit it because the fucking the way I recorded it, I think it's not it's like flipped upside down or something. I don't know. I'm hoping I can just edit that real quick. I don't edit these very much because I don't really care enough to do so, and these are more just like off the cuff ramblings of somebody who's probably not completely mentally well, but at least I am not a MAGA chud, like so many people who are in a similar boat as me. I can't stand how people think that like the Trump administration is going to make working class, I'm a white dude, but if you think Trump's going to make like working class white people have better lives, you're fucking brain dead. He's using you. That's the biggest, beta male cuck thing I've ever seen. MAGA white working class men. So beta, so cucked for Trump. It's hilarious. It's literally feminism for men. It's like I do have some criticisms of the feminist movement where they say things like all differences between genders are because of social constructs, and that's just complete nonsense. Anybody who thinks that in with the data we have now about like even just things like I've said this a few times now, doctors can look at MRIs of brain scans and be like, just on that alone with like 95% accuracy, be able to look at a brain scan and be like, oh, that's a man or that's a woman. So, I think that, and that's just, one brain scan of an MRI, let alone actions and just other thought processes and just, other data that we have. So, I don't believe that we're all the exact same in terms of that regard. But with that said, I'm not going to become a MAGA chud and deny climate change or think everybody who I don't like is a secret, like, I don't know. I guess, do they hate the Jews or the Muslims more? I don't know. I do have some criticisms of the Israeli government, but I'm not. I don't think the Jewish people are running some secret cabal. And then you meet people who think that like they don't even realize that, Israeli money buying politicians has been around for like a long time. It's not like a Jewish conspiracy or some stupid shit. It's just Israel has money. Israeli government officials have money, and then they hire people in that state will donate. That's what AIPAC really is. It's just rich Jewish people in Israel buying our politicians. This isn't a conspiracy. It's not. There's nothing new about it. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. First of all, stop blaming. You spend too much time on the internet and you start to blame other groups of people who have maybe a more robust and healthy culture or just social life or money. It depends on the thing. It's like you might see a rich influencer and you start hating them because they're showing off a lot of stuff that they own and you get jealous of them. You might hate maybe there's like some Hispanic person that you're jealous. You see them like when I go on late night drives. I don't see it as much anymore because I do think COVID, the past 5 years in COVID kind of really hit the Hispanic community pretty hard. But I used to see like, salsa clubs in the suburbs of where I live. And I'm assuming, again, it's mostly Hispanic people going to a salsa club, but that is an assumption. But I see them, the parking lots are full. People are socializing. The men and women are hanging out together. And then I also see it with Asian communities. The company I work for over a decade now, or about a decade, I should say. They, I work with the only people my age or younger that I work with are primarily from Korea and China, South Korea, obviously. And there are older people I work with that are there's a few white and black individuals. And then most of the older people I also work with, though, are Asian as well. And when a lot of people don't go, they work from home now, including, of all ages and races. And we work from home usually anywhere. I usually go into the office 4 times a week, maybe even 5. And most people go in more like 2, so it's not as much, but the times that people still go into the office on a regular basis, and there's kind of like assigned days to go in. The Asian coworkers of mine, they all eat lunch together. You'll see in a booth in the kind of cafeteria area that of our company, you'll see an older Asian woman eating lunch with two you know guys who are maybe in their 20s, and all three of them are they're from China or they're from Korea or both, or mix and match. It's just a healthier social dynamic. It's That's really what it comes down to. I mean, I see all the white people I see at at the company I work for. When it comes to things like lunchtime, they're eating together or they're eating by themselves, or maybe um, with one other person. That's it. And the same thing for my black coworkers. Um, so I do believe that the social dynamics create healthier situations, and then a lot of, I think, white and also black people, because I think this issue hit the black community in a lot of ways, maybe first, or maybe around the same time as it hit whitey or whatever, but is just I think there's a lot of people who get jealous, and then they start to become actually quite angry towards these communities that have a more robust social culture, which we do not have in the States. The funny thing enough, though, is if you go to places like South Korea and Japan, now we don't have a lot of Japanese uh, um, H-1B visas, or just Japanese American, or maybe they moved here and became American citizens. We don't have a lot of Japanese people working at my company. It's mostly Chinese and South Korean. Um, but Japan and South Korea both have, like, they say, like, loneliness epidemics. They're not having kids. And, as a leftist, I am a little bit more interested and concerned with the birth rates of these countries, including the United States, but all over the world is seeing a lot of this problem. And again, it's because you know, I think what it is, and I think this is kind of crazy to say, but I think if I actually, as a white guy, got a job and moved to a South Korea or Japan, I actually think I would be able to find a person, maybe it's another white person or American black transplant, whatever, and pair up with them, or a local Japanese or Korean person. I actually think that me being outside of this country and going into another country actually might help me socialize more now, because our countries are, and this is all over the world, I think our countries are taking our own people for granted, and we're not really getting to know our people anymore. Again, this is all our own doing, and a large chunk of it is literally because of the thing I'm using right now to record this video, the phones. In some ways it's helped us connect with people. You see it with, maybe you have a Discord, or, back in the day, I remember Ventrilo, and, like, you might actually connect with somebody from your whatever, do people still play WoW, World of Warcraft, your WoW guild, and that person might live in, Kentucky, and you live in Maine. And, I get it, right? Like, that is a social connection, but it's not somebody you're hanging out with on a Friday night getting some beers, or it's not a girl that you're building maybe a romantic connection with. So it's not a good enough substitute for the actual in-person relationship dynamics. So I just don't think it's enough, and I actually think at this point now it's not even like, okay, well, at least we still have this. It's like this is actually what's um causing the problem. But anyway, that's more of a how we got here, and I've spent already almost 9 minutes. What I really wanted to talk about is just how much Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is so stupid with understanding how all this shit works. And I truly believe that the white nationalist part of these movements, which is the growing amount, maybe not everyone who voted for Trump is a white nationalist, but it is a growing number of the base. I do believe, and I think they don't understand how horrible this is going to be for the economy, how horrible it's going to be for your personal life, and how horrible it's going to be for just in general America's future. Because um, I don't think they understand that the velocity of money is shrinking, especially in local communities, and things like tariffs. You think, oh, well, the tariff on the imported good, people will buy local. The problem is we don't have any infrastructure really in place for local. And also, a lot of these local communities, we have been a more globalized economy. A lot of these local businesses exported goods to other countries, And with that extra, with that money that they've made, they might spend it local. But now they're not making as much money because the goods that they're exporting, no one's buying American stuff anymore. So it's kind of like a two-way street. It's like, in order for the economy to work locally, you need to import and export outside of your city, outside of your state, outside of even the United States, the country. But you also need to kind of take the money that you've made from any of your exports of your goods and your labor, and you have to spend it kind of locally. For example, I like to shop at, there's this one restaurant that is like, I guess like it's like New Orleans or like the Bayou themed, and I like to get like, crab cakes and a lobster po' boy or a shrimp po' boy, right? And it's a little pricey. It ends up being like $28 after tax and tip, um, but it's still like it's a local restaurant, and then of course they probably import food from other places, right? Because if you live in Middle America, you don't really have access probably to crab cakes and shrimp. But the point is that the business, the business is made, the transaction is made here locally. The velocity of money is a little bit more local, but some of the goods that come in from other parts of the country or world create like a sort of a, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but some sort of measurement that is, also interacting with the outside of the city, outside of the county, or outside of the state. And so I just think that, like, this tariff system is so bad for the future of the U.S. economy that it's going to cause, and then you combine it with how much AI everything is trying to become AI this, AI that. I don't think people understand how bad this is about to get. Um, this is going to be, do you think 2008 was bad? 2007, 2008, 2009 was bad? This is going to be, I think, 7 to 10x worse. And this is almost every medium of entertainment now, too. It's not even just like your food. And this is first of all, it's not just your food, it's your health care. It's also your entertainment. It's like now, all of these companies are trying to lay off, or movies don't make as much money. And, that means I think there's less incentive to make movies. And that means people who have worked their entire life as, costume designers or script writers, or, you sometimes, if you ever watch credits of movies, I mean, sometimes it's like 5 minutes worth of credits of people who worked on these films. These are all people who are making 60 grand a year, 100 grand a year, working on these films, and generally trying their best. Now, this doesn't mean you have to watch bad movies and give them your time, energy, and money. At some point, you do have to vote with your wallet. But I don't think people understand how bad tariffs plus AI is going to make this. Like, this is going to be the worst economic period. This will be worse than the Great Depression. I truly believe this will be worse than the Great Depression. Um, The only thing that might save it, and again, this is not really fixing the problem, though, this is just taking actions to try to keep things afloat, is if there is some form of bailouts. But the problem is bailouts don't establish new markets, right? So farmers, if we bailed out Argentina for 40 billion now, which is fucking stupid. But if farmers get a bailout, well, okay, that helps them for a year. Well, then, or 2 years, or whatever, how long this bailout, goes for. Well, what do we do when like that bailout money is, after they get the bailout and the money goes away because they had to spend it on, maintenance or whatever, and they still haven't been able to sell their product? Does that make sense? I mean, bailouts don't entirely work the way that people think. I mean, it's not gonna create a future. So I think that, look, if you voted for Trump because you just hate the world, well, there's a lot of people who hate the world, but I'm telling you right now, if shit really gets to hit the fan, and we have collapses of epic proportions, you're not going to be this guy who, like, is this like freedom fighter and is like this, like, powerful person because you have a truck and a couple of guns. All right, you're going to be, you know chewed up and spit out and shit on. You're not as Most people over exaggerate probably how powerful they are IRL. So this economy, I mean, again, The number one thing we have to do to get out of this system, out of this nihilistic system that we've been living in now for well over a decade, I would say close to 2. People need to spend way less fucking time on the fucking internet. Way less fucking time on the fucking internet. I promise you, you don't need to, not everything needs to be turned into a way to get likes on Twitter. Okay, your new hobby of, a great example is like how much chess blew up during COVID. And, part of it is, I think it was because it's a relatively cheap form of entertainment. The chessboard and chess pieces are like fucking free. If you have an internet connection, it is literally free. You just go to like a website and you can play chess all day. But, it is kind of weird how it also had to become like this like subculture of chess drama of like players and Twitch streamers and then a lot of these Twitch streamers who stream chess had to like turn it into a lifestyle brand and variety streaming, and it's just like, to me, it came across as something kind of bizarre and fake, and now it's like a shell of its former self, from what I understand. Like the chess area of YouTube and Twitch are just down to like 5% of what they were at their peak during COVID. But is it just another it's just a meta game, right? It's just the era or whatever. And I don't know, maybe I'm over exaggerating how bad chess, that era was for Twitter and Twitch. And I don't want to hate on any individual streamer or person just because that's not really who I am. But I do believe that it was kind of a good example of just like the fad culture that we live in, where it's almost more not even about the chess and it's about the drama, or it's about trying to get as much likes and retweets and follower counts and Patreon dollars and all this stupid fucking shit that is ultimately siphoning more and more money to a smaller and smaller amount of people. Influencer culture probably needs to die. And that even includes, people who I agree with on Twitter and Twitch. I know recently that Penguin Zero guy who probably, again, 5 million people on YouTube subscribe to that guy probably. He made a video talking about how he, doesn't take donations from individuals anymore because he's made enough money. And, some people, I guess, accuse that of setting a bad precedent. But when you come to some point where he is a wealthy person. I'm sure he has a net worth of 25 mil, Again, he's not a corporate billionaire scumbag, but somebody who has a net worth of 25 mil, I promise you, they should not really be needing money from some dude who makes $56K a year, thinking, even if it's $5 from that guy. Not to mention that $5 that he donates to that guy, will probably 25% of it goes to YouTube and Google or Amazon and Twitch. So you're giving, when you subscribe to these people and you give them your time, your time alone is worth money to them. But when you give them dollars through donations, you're helping out these billionaires as much as you're helping out any streamer, really. So I do think streaming culture needs to go. And at the very least, if there was like a streaming platform that gives like literally 95% of the donations to the streamers, which I don't know if that ever happens, I'd be a little bit more in favor of that. But it still is not really fixing the problem, which is the amount of time, energy, and effort, especially younger people are spending trying to think that developing with these odd parasocial relationships with a Kai Cenat, or 5 years ago it was like Ninja or Hassan or that Penguin Zero guy, or some other motherfucker, Aiden Ross or some idiot like him. This isn't healthy. It's not healthy at all. It's, again, if you want to listen to YouTube for some news, I don't have a problem with that. If you're spending hours a day on these sites and almost developing like a weird parasocial friendship in your mind with these people, that's when it's like, we need to take the amount of time people spend on the internet and slash it to 10%, maybe not 20% of what you're currently doing. And with that extra time, develop a hobby that you're not trying to monetize on social media. That's my thoughts, and I'm out.